Hello and welcome back to 8-Bit Resurgence. My name is Thomas. Today this video is going to discuss a product that's being produced in the UK by a company by the name of My Retro Computers. It's not so much a retro computer as something that's inspired by retro computers. But before we discuss what they're producing, let's just take a brief walk back 10 years to see where they came from. The idea originally came from, I don't know if it was just him, but a guy by the name of Barry Altman. He decided he wanted to make a modern Commodore 64. This was subsequent to when Commodore went out of business and there was no Commodore anymore. He negotiated the rights to use the Commodore brand. I don't know if he even bought the brand, I'm not sure. But he produced a couple of products, at least that I'm aware of, the 64X and the VIC Slim. Both of those products were PC-based products. The 64X looked like a bread bin, and the VIC Slim didn't really look like anything, but it was called the VIC Slim. Both of them were PC-based machines that fit Mini-ITX case inside. They had, as I recall, I didn't buy mine new, so I'm just going by what I've been told and what I read about, is that they had a couple of different versions of that. They had just the bare bones, which was just the case, and then they had the completely assembled ones that had a mini ATX board inside, as well as a hard drive and possibly a DVD-ROM. Whether that was an option or not, I'm not sure. So that's kind of where My Retro Computers steps in. Barry Altman passed away shortly after he got this going, and he was pretty much the driving force, as I understand it, behind the company, and it just went away. So there are not that many 64Xs and probably even fewer VIC Slims around. I'm fortunate enough to have one of each of those that I'll show you a bit about later. But it's not about those. I just wanted to mention this because this is where the idea and where the product is coming from. It's built based on what the Commodore USA built, and this is a continuation of it. My Retro Computers, they produce a couple of different versions at the moment. They make the 64X style, and they also make a VIC style bread bin. They're both basically the same, except one's white with orange keys and one's brown with gray keys, and they both have brown keyboard keys. The gray and the orange I'm talking about is function keys. You can fit pretty much any Mini-ITX footprint motherboard inside. If you checked out their site, the link is going to be found below. They do have a YouTube channel as well where they cover a build. It's a very interesting watch if you're interested in this sort of thing. So I'm going to show you what their VIC model looks like. They were kind enough to send me one to review, and I'm very, very pleased with the build quality and right down to the packaging. It's really phenomenal. So let's start by looking at the box that it comes in, which is actually quite exciting as far as the box can be, and I'll show you why. Alright, here's the box that it comes in. Looks very much like an original VIC-20 box. It is a bit wider and a little bit skinnier than the original one, but it does have the VIC-20 style and feel about it. Opens the same way. It's got a flap that opens here. But what I really liked about this box is what you see when you open it up. And it says, "Welcome to the world of friendly computing." And I remember when I got my VIC-20, I opened the box and I saw that, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it's really neat that they incorporated that into the box. Says a lot about the attention to detail that they have with regards to their product. The back shows you what it looks like inside, the kinds of things you can do. The keyboard, it's a very nice USB keyboard, which you'll see in a moment. Uses Cherry MX switches, and you can install whatever you like on it because it'll be a Windows-based machine when you're done. That'll give you the look and feel that you're using an old VIC-20, which is kind of the goal and idea behind this. So let's have a look at what you get. So this is what's inside the box. It's very nice, good solid plastic. It's at least as solid, and the build quality is at least as good as an original VIC-20. The keyboard, I'd hazard to say it feels a bit better. Those Cherry MX switches, you know, anybody that's used a modern keyboard with Cherry MX switches knows that it has a very nice positive feel. Has a nice sound to it, a little bit clicky but not too obnoxiously noisy like some mechanical keyboards can be. Instead of 4 function keys, it has 5. They are very bright. It's not just the video. These are very bright orange keys. I personally would have toned it down a little bit, but it does definitely give you a retro feel, so you know, not that bad. The on-off switch is actually the power light here. It's also a switch and a light, and instead of you know, Commodore VIC-20, it just says My Retro Computer VIC-20 there. Okay, so let's pop this open and see what you get inside. So inside, there's this is the back side of the USB keyboard with a standard USB connection, and then the wiring harness for the switch and light are here. There's some paperwork that comes inside the box that gives you the pinouts for these cables, which is nice and handy. Inside the case, there are a number of things. There is the vent that goes in and keeps your fingers safe from the fan, and there's also a fan included. If you want a quieter one, you could certainly pick one up. It's a standard size. And then this is actually a hard drive mount that looks like a DVD drive. DVDs, CDs, they're not that common these days, so you probably wouldn't bother putting it in anyway. But if you wanted to, you could certainly remove this mount and put a CD or DVD drive in if you wanted to, and then the hard drive could mount right in this space here. This is a card reader, USB as well. We'll just plug onto the board, and that's attached to the side of the case so you can access your card, whatever cards you use. The mounting points inside the board are standard Mini-ITX configuration, so any standard Mini-ITX board that you'd like to put into a machine like this, you're welcome to do so, and it'll fit. The build quality is very nice. This is a very solid case. It doesn't flex. Very high quality. Very nicely, you know, if there were any bits of plastic left from the manufacturing process, it's cleaned up. It is smooth, no sharp edges. Very, very impressive. They've done an outstanding job with this. They've even gone so far as to put a nice label on the back, and rubber feet. it's just a very nice product. So if you'd like to see what an assembled one looks like, I have, I received this and I did not build one yet out of that case, as you can see. But what I do have is a 64X, and back from 2010. And that one is fully assembled. It was bare bones when I bought it, and I did install a Mini-ITX board. Now, I did build this probably about 8 years ago, so the technology is pretty old. In this 64X, I probably should update it with a more modern board, but it does work, and it'll give you a good idea when you look inside as to what it looks like when you pack all that hardware into the case. So let's have a look at that. Alright, this is the 64X. I've taken the 6 screws out that hold it closed, just like the My Retro Computers version. As you can see, the keyboard looks very similar. Pretty much the only difference between the keys that I've noticed is this has the Commodore key. He had licensed the Commodore name for the product back in 2010, whereas My Retro Computers had not, so they weren't using the actual Commodore name on their product. Nonetheless, here is what an assembled version of the My Retro Computers would look like, because it's basically the same thing. I used an older, at the time it wasn't that old, but it's a Zotac board. And not that powerful, but it does run Windows 7, and I like Windows 7, so it's working pretty good for me. I did put a slot drive DVD in here, and beneath it is a laptop drive, so there's plenty of storage for it. You can see memory is installed. Pico ATX power supply, runs off a 12-volt adapter that plugs in the back. Has the same idea with the card reader on that side. And over here I installed a USB hub. It's NXT, I believe. I don't know if they're still available, but something similar I'm sure you could find if you wanted to do that. And that just expands the number of USB ports internally. This particular board that I chose didn't have a whole lot of USB ports on the board, so I wanted to have a USB mouse connected without plugging the dongle on the back. I wanted to have that internal. So doing that, doing this installation of the USB port allowed me to have that inside the machine. It fits quite snugly there. I find the machine doesn't overheat at all. Granted, it's not a very powerful machine, but even with a more powerful machine, a ducting system can be integrated into this that will exhaust the heat out very effectively. That's also something that My Retro Computers developed, and is available through my printing service that I have on my site. If you have any interest in that, you can certainly contact me about that, and I can help you find that. So that was the review of the My Retro Computers VIC-20 case, and a look at how it would look like inside with hardware installed. One thing that I will add that I just came across the other day is that they are going to be doing a Kickstarter, probably somewhere around March, and in that Kickstarter they're going to be offering a number of different case plastics as well. And some big news with regards to that company is that they have negotiated with the rights owner of the Commodore brand, and they will be branding their products as Commodore products. So it'll be a Commodore VIC-20 and a Commodore 64 with all the original branding on the boxes, on the machines. So if you want to build yourself or buy a complete Commodore 64 machine that looks like it and will give you the look and feel, but still allow you to be productive with all of your latest Windows or Linux applications that you want to run on your machine, that opportunity will be available to you. Something that's quite exciting to me as well is they do plan on producing like a transparent, natural, translucent, however you want to call it, but it'll be a clear case, similar to the 64 one that came from the original molds back as a Kickstarter years back, and the Amiga 1200 case that came out as a transparent case. Well, they're going to be doing a transparent case for their offerings as well through their Kickstarter, and it'll be Commodore branded, so that's quite exciting. Certainly something that I'm going to look at picking up myself. I thought one of those cases might be fun to incorporate perhaps a Raspberry Pi into it, just to do something a little bit different. I don't know if they're planning on incorporating any kind of mounts for that, but if they don't, I'll certainly design a mounting system for a Raspberry Pi to fit in something like that. I think that would look really nice in a natural translucent mount, and then be able to mess around with the programming languages that are available on the Pi. Do some retro gaming installs perhaps. Could be a fun project. Nonetheless, this is a great product, and at the time of recording they had it on sale over Christmas. I don't know how much longer they're going to run that sale, but even at their regular price, it is a bargain compared to what people have been paying for the old 64X cases and machines that have been floating around here and there from time to time on eBay. So if you're inclined to have something that gives you the feel that you're using an old retro machine, but allows you to do your productivity software and even emulation, nothing wrong with it. It's a great product and highly recommended. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this and you're enjoying the types of videos that I'm producing, please do like and subscribe. It'll be greatly appreciated. Till next time, thanks for watching. Bye.